How's it going? I'm Ryan, and today I'm going to go over the two trades that I took on SPY and the one trade that I took on QQQ. Before we do take a look at those three trades, all three of which being winners, we will take a look at some levels on the daily time frame here. So we had the pre-market high right around 488. We had the high of these two previous candles around 485.3, and then we had the high of yesterday. Since we're making all-time highs, we're making new highs, so we have no levels to reference up here besides essentially pre-market and after hours levels and whatever came previously. So that's what we have on SPY. Take a look at QQQ. Once again, we have pre-market high around 427.4. We opened right at it, pushed up, created a high there, and then pulled back in the evening. The next level we had was 424.65-ish, and that was just this most recent high here. We'll take a look at SPY. I'll start the day off on SPY. Right off the open, we opened close to the pre-market high and sold off pretty aggressively. So we were looking pretty weak. We had increasing volume as we continued to sell off. And my first trade that I took on the day was puts when we retested this 487 level. Reason being, it was a nice whole number. We have 15 minutes here where we kind of consolidated and held that level before we broke on this big increasing volume here. We came back and retested this area, and I entered two puts at that moment. We take a look at the 2 minute here. So what I was looking at is that we had this consolidation in here, broke it on increasing volume, came up, retested, and I entered puts. I took one off when we pushed down. I got 487 strikes, so right at the money. When we came down on this candle here, those contracts moved pretty well, and I trimmed one of my contracts. My runner, I held. I was convinced that we were probably going to continue down based off the weakness that we showed. But my runner was stopped out on this candle here for a small loss. So I had a small win and a small loss overall. Up not very much on that trade there. I think after the loss, I was up around 10% or so. So the winning trade was around 20, and I think the losing trade was about 10%. So not bad risk to reward, but would rather have not had the runner get stopped out there. So that's one thing. Gonna just set runners to break even. It's not worth losing a few dollars, although it is kind of tricky to time with options, the way that the premiums can move. Sometimes you might get a little pullback and then the move continues. So I try to give it some wiggle room and not get stopped out. But here this caused me to take a small loss. That was my first trade. Overall positive at this point. My second trade of the day came on QQQ. On QQQ, we were looking a bit stronger than SPY. We had broken the pre-market high and set an all-time high at that after that trade that I had taken on SPY. When we had pulled back into this area, I took a single call. I took a 428 call when we retested this high a day. I was waiting to scale in to see if we retested the pre-market high, and I was going to scale in at that point if we held that pre-market high. We didn't get down at that point, so I only got a single contract here, which is a bit of a bummer. As we pushed up and we broke all-time high and hit 428, I sold that single contract. So I got a decent move out of that, about 50 cents, and with it becoming in the money, that contract moved pretty well. Obviously wish I had runners because we continued to run for well over another $1. So that trade had the potential to be a really big winner. Yeah, that's a case where you can't capture the whole thing, but wish that I had runners in this instance to capture a bit more of that, as we never really got a pullback. We had really strong momentum all the way up there. That was my second trade of the day, and my final trade on QQQ. Back to SPY for the final trade that I took today. And here we had SPY breaking high a day and all-time high. After this point, it was lagging behind a bit. And after breaking all-time high, we had a bit of a pullback, and then we had some consolidation in this area, right around the pre-market high and the support that you see here. We broke this on increasing volume, came up and retested, and I took a put in this area. I sold the put when we came down here, not quite at the bottom, probably somewhere around 487.6 or so. This was a quick scalp. It was a single contract, and I didn't hold it very long because we had just broke all-time high. Overall on the day, we're still up, and we had an area in here where we had seen some support turn resistance, and then back to support. So we have support initially, we bounce, breakthrough, resistance, 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 breakthrough, support, and continuation. So as we approach down into this area, and I saw price getting pushed back up, I took profit on that contract. So that was a really small win. That was my final trade of the day. So none of them very big. My second trade on QQQ had the potential to be much bigger than it was, but I can't capture all of it every time, and it's just something to learn from. That being said, though, that's all I have. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. I do trade live every Monday through Friday, so I'll be here the rest of the week. If you want to stop by, please do. And that's all I got. I hope you have a great rest of your day. All right, peace.